There it was, sitting on my desk like some kind of joke. A bottle of bourbon that probably came from the clearance rack at Kroger still had the $8.49 sticker on it. No card, no note, just sitting there next to my coffee mug when I walked in Monday morning. I'm Hunter Brooks, 48 years old, and I've been busting my tail at Pinnacle Industries for 11 years. That's 1 years of making sure our supply chain doesn't fall apart. 11 years of fixing problems before they become disasters. 11 years of being the guy everyone calls when things go sideways. And this is what I get for Christmas from my boss. I stared at that bottle for a good minute. The warehouse guys were already snickering as they walked past. "Wow, Hunter," one of them said. "Preston really broke the bank on that one." I just nodded and smiled. You learn not to react in places like this. But inside I was done. See, Preston Walsh is the kind of boss who thinks leadership means having the right haircut and saying the right buzzwords in meetings. Guy's 42, got his MBA from some fancy school, and has been my supervisor for the past 3 years. Problem is, he doesn't know a damn thing about what we actually do here. I mean, the guy couldn't tell you the difference between a shipping manifest and a grocery list. I picked up that bottle and looked at the label. Premium Select Bourbon, it said. Premium, my foot. This was the kind of whiskey they probably used to clean engine parts. The plastic cap didn't even seal properly. But here's the thing that really got to me. I happen to know bourbon, spent some time in Kentucky during my Army days, learned to appreciate the good stuff. I can tell you the difference between a real small batch and grocery store swill just by looking at the bottle. Hell, I've got a bottle of Woodford Reserve at home that I save for special occasions. Cost me $60, but it's worth every penny. So when someone who makes 3 times my salary hands me something that costs less than lunch, well, that tells you exactly what they think of you. The more I thought about it, the more it burned. This wasn't just about a cheap gift. This was about 11 years of being treated like I was invisible. All those times Preston walked into meetings with my reports, presenting my ideas like he'd thought them up himself. All those times he got the handshakes and congratulations while I stayed in the background, fixing problems he didn't even know existed. Like last month when he got up in front of the board and talked about our innovative supply chain optimization. That was my work. I'd spent 6 months analyzing our vendor contracts, finding overlaps, negotiating better rates, saved the company almost $200,000 that quarter. But Preston stood there taking bows like he'd personally reinvented logistics. Or the time in 2020 when COVID hit and everyone was panicking about supply disruptions. While Preston was scheduling emergency meetings to assess the situation, I was already on the phone with backup suppliers I'd been cultivating for months. By the time other companies were scrambling, we had alternative sourcing locked in. 0 downtime. Preston got a bonus that year for crisis leadership. I didn't throw it away. I didn't say anything smart. I just slipped it into my briefcase next to the folder I'd been putting together for months. See, I'd been documenting everything I do around here for a while now. Every process I built, every crisis I handled, every dollar I saved the company. Call it insurance, call it covering my bases. I just knew that someday someone would want to know who was really keeping this place running. That night I went home to my little house in Deer Park and sat down at the kitchen table. My daughter Sarah was upstairs doing homework. She's a junior at UC now, studying business. Smart as a whip, that kid. Takes after her mom. I was looking at her tuition bill that came in last week, thinking about how an extra few grand a year would make life easier for both of us. I opened up my laptop and started updating my documentation. Every vendor relationship I'd built from scratch. Every time I'd caught a problem before it cost us money. Every late night, I'd spent making sure our shipments got where they needed to go on time. It wasn't bragging. It was just facts. Numbers don't lie. There was the time in 2019 when our main steel supplier tried to sneak in a 15% price increase buried in contract fine print. I caught it, found 2 alternative suppliers, and ended up saving us $320,000 that year. Preston took credit for strategic supplier diversification. Then there was the COVID mess in 2020. While everyone else was panicking about supply chain disruptions, I'd already been building relationships with backup vendors since February. When our primary suppliers in China shut down, I had alternative sources ready within 48 hours, no downtime, no production delays. The company newsletter called it visionary leadership and featured Preston's picture. I had it all documented. Email trails, cost comparisons, vendor contracts with my signature. A paper trail that couldn't be argued with. The next morning, I walked into work with that bottle in a plain brown bag, but instead of heading to my desk, I took the elevator up to the executive floor. I'd never been up there before, not in 11 years, but I figured it was time for a visit. I knocked on Owen Clark's office door. Owen's our CEO, been with the company for 15 years. He's an old Navy guy, probably around 58, still keeps his gray hair cut military short. I'd only talked to him maybe twice in all my time here, just brief hellos in the hallway. Mr. Clark, I'm Hunter Brooks from Operations. I was wondering if I could have 5 minutes of your time. He looked up from his computer, probably surprised to see someone from my level up there. Sure, Hunter. Come on in. What's on your mind? I sat down and pulled out that bottle, set it on his desk next to a copy of my documentation folder. This is what Preston gave me for Christmas, after 11 years with the company. I thought you might want to see it, along with what I actually do around here. Owen picked up the bottle, turned it over in his hands, saw that price sticker. His eyebrows went up a little, but he didn't say anything. Then he opened the folder and started reading. I watched him flip through page after page. The cost analysis I did when we switched freight companies. The vendor audit that saved us $280,000 last year. The emergency logistics plan I put together when COVID hit and half our suppliers shut down. All stuff that Preston had taken credit for in his reports. But my name was on the original work. His eyes stopped on one particular document. It was a risk assessment I'd done on our European suppliers back in 2018, warning about potential disruptions. Turned out I was right, and we'd moved 40% of our sourcing to domestic suppliers before the problems hit, saved us millions. This analysis, Owen said, pointing to the document, this is what kept us profitable during the trade war. Yes, sir. I spent about 6 months researching alternative suppliers. According to our board reports, this was Preston's strategic initiative. I just nodded. What was I going to say? That my boss was a liar? Owen was smart enough to figure that out himself. After about 15 minutes, Owen closed the folder and looked at me. How long did it take you to put this together? About 2 years, I said. But the work itself, that's been ongoing since I got here. He nodded slowly. And Preston knows about all this. He signs off on my reports, or at least he used to. Lately, he just takes what I write, changes the formatting, and puts his name on it. Owen was quiet for a moment, then he said, "Leave this with me. I'll be in touch." I went back downstairs and got to work like it was any other day, but something had shifted. I could feel it. You know that feeling when you finally speak up after keeping quiet for too long? It's scary and liberating at the same time. Around 2 that afternoon, Preston came by my desk. He had that fake smile on, the one he uses when he's trying to act buddy-buddy. "Hey, about that bottle yesterday. I hope you didn't take it the wrong way. It's just a little holiday gesture. You know, same thing I give everyone." That was a lie. I'd seen what he gave Jessica Turner in HR. Nice bottle of wine probably cost $40, and Amanda Stevens, his assistant, got a gift card to some spa. Sure, Preston. No problem. But I could see something in his eyes, like he was fishing for information. Maybe he'd heard I was upstairs that morning. Word travels fast in a place like this. The next morning, I got an email from Owen's assistant asking me to come up for a meeting at 10 a.m. When I got there, Owen wasn't alone. Liam Foster from Operations and Ryan Pierce from Finance were there too. On the conference table was a printed copy of my folder, spread out like evidence in a trial. Hunter, Owen said, "Walk us through this vendor consolidation project from last year." So I did. Explained how I'd identified 12 suppliers we could eliminate, how I'd negotiated better rates with the ones we kept, how the whole thing saved us close to $500,000. The guys from finance were taking notes, asking questions about details that only someone who'd actually done the work would know. Then Liam asked, "Who developed the backup supplier protocol for the COVID shutdown?" "I did," I said. Started working on it in February 2020, when I saw what was happening in China. Because according to the board presentation from March 2020, Preston developed that protocol. I just shrugged. Preston presented it. I wrote it. Ryan pulled out another document. "What about the freight consolidation program? This shows savings of $180,000 over 18 months. That was mine too. I noticed we were sending half-full trucks to the same destinations on consecutive days. Seemed like a waste. They asked me about a dozen different projects. Every single one I had the details memorized because I'd lived through them. I knew which vendors tried to charge us extra fees, which shipping routes had seasonal problems, which contracts had renewal clauses that could bite us if we weren't careful. What really got their attention was when Ryan asked about our insurance claims from the warehouse flooding last spring. Preston had filed a report saying we'd learned about the problem from a routine inspection, but I had emails showing I'd flagged the drainage issues 6 months earlier and recommended repairs that never got approved. So this flood could have been prevented? Owen asked. Yes, sir. The drainage backup was predictable. I'd seen it building up all winter. Liam was flipping through more pages. Hunter, looking at these documentation trails, it appears you've been essentially running operations while Preston has been managing up to leadership. That was a diplomatic way of putting it. Preston was good at PowerPoint presentations and golf course handshakes. The actual work of keeping 47 vendor relationships running smoothly, making sure 200+ shipments a month arrived on time, and catching problems before they became disasters. That was all happening at my level. After an hour and a half, Owen thanked me and said they'd be in touch. I went back to work, but I could see people whispering in small groups. Word travels fast in a place like this, and when the CEO starts pulling documentation and asking detailed questions, people notice. Thursday morning, Preston looked nervous. He kept checking his phone, kept looking around like he was waiting for something bad to happen. Around noon, he got called upstairs. He was gone for almost 3 hours. I found out later what happened up there. Owen had done his homework. He'd pulled Preston's performance reports from the last 3 years and cross-referenced them with the actual project documentation. Every major success story Preston had claimed credit for traced back to my work. The cost savings, the process improvements, the crisis management, all of it had my fingerprints on the original documents. But what really sealed it was when Owen asked Preston to explain the technical details of his initiatives. Preston couldn't do it. He talked in circles, used buzzwords, mentioned synergistic optimization and strategic realignment. But when Owen asked specific questions about vendor negotiations or supply chain logistics, Preston had nothing. Walk me through the European supplier diversification strategy, Owen had said. Well, it was really about leveraging our core competencies to maximize operational efficiency, Preston replied. Which suppliers did you replace and why? It was more of a holistic approach to vendor relationship management. Hunter mentioned concerns about political instability affecting supply chains. What specific risks did you identify? That's when Preston started sweating, because he'd never read my actual risk assessment. He'd just taken the executive summary I'd written and presented it as his own strategic vision. When Preston came back from that meeting, his face was white as paper. He didn't look at me, didn't talk to anyone, just sat at his desk staring at his computer screen. I could see him updating his LinkedIn profile. That afternoon, I got pulled into another meeting. This time, it was Owen, the HR director, Jessica Turner, and the head of legal. They wanted to go through my employment history, verify my qualifications, and review my performance evaluations. Hunter, Jessica said, we're looking at possibly restructuring the operations department. Would you be interested in taking on additional responsibilities? I'd been in corporate long enough to know what that meant. They were planning to move Preston out and needed to know if I could handle his role. I'm interested, I said, but I'd want to make some changes to how things operate. Such as direct reporting lines. No more filtering everything through multiple approval layers. If there's a problem with a vendor or a shipment, it comes straight to me, and I want authority to make decisions without having to schedule meetings to discuss having meetings. Owen smiled at that. Sounds like you've given this some thought. 11 years of thought, sir. Friday morning, there was an email waiting for everyone from HR. Effective immediately, Hunter Brooks has been promoted to Director of Operations. Preston Walsh has accepted a consulting opportunity outside the company. Just like that. No big announcement, no drama. Preston cleaned out his desk that afternoon while I was in a meeting with Owen about transitioning my new responsibilities. When I came back, his office was empty except for a stack of business cards he'd left behind. The following Monday, I moved into Preston's old office. Well, my office now, it had a better view, bigger desk, and a little fridge in the corner. The nameplate on the door was already changed. But more than that, things started working the way they should. When problems came up, people brought them directly to me instead of playing telephone through management layers. When vendors called with issues, they got someone who actually understood the business. My team stopped wasting time explaining technical details to someone who didn't get it. The first week in my new role, I had a meeting with our biggest client, Morrison Manufacturing. They'd been having quality issues with some shipments, and Preston's solution had been to schedule more meetings. I looked at the data, tracked the problem back to a specific supplier batch, and had replacement materials shipped out that afternoon. Problem solved in 6 hours instead of 6 weeks of committee meetings. Morrison's procurement manager, a guy named Bill Reynolds who I'd worked with for years, pulled me aside after the meeting. "Hunter, I gotta tell you, this is the fastest we've ever gotten a resolution on anything. Usually we'd still be waiting for your boss to form a task force." "Well, I'm the boss now," I said. He laughed. "About damn time. We always knew you were the one actually getting things done." I was setting up my stuff when I found a box on the desk. Inside was a bottle of bourbon. Real bourbon this time. Blanton's single barrel, probably cost $150. There was a note from Owen, to proper recognition and overdue appreciation. "Thanks for keeping us running all these years." I put that bottle on the shelf behind my desk, not because I was planning to drink it anytime soon, but because every time I looked at it, I'd remember something important. Sometimes it takes a cheap gift to show you what you're really worth. And sometimes you have to speak up for yourself because nobody else will do it for you. The funny thing is, running the department isn't that different from what I was already doing. I just get paid better for it now, and I don't have to watch someone else take credit for my work. The team respects me because they know I understand the job from the ground up. When problems come up, they come straight to me instead of going through layers of bureaucracy. Sarah was proud when I told her about the promotion. She said, "Dad, you should have done this years ago." Maybe she's right. Maybe I should have spoken up sooner. But I'm not the kind of guy who makes waves just to make waves. I believe in doing good work and letting it speak for itself. The raise that came with the promotion meant I could help her with student loans without dipping into retirement savings. It meant I could finally fix the roof that had been leaking for 2 winters. Small things maybe, but they mattered. She could focus on studies instead of worrying about more loans for senior year. "You know what I'm proudest of?" she asked over dinner that week. "Not that you got promoted. It's that you stood up for yourself. I was starting to think you were going to let that guy walk all over you forever." Kids, they see things clearer than we do sometimes. Sometimes, though, you have to help it speak a little louder. 3 months into my new role, the improvements were undeniable. Our vendor response times had improved by 60%. Customer complaints dropped to almost 0. We hadn't missed a single delivery deadline, and our costs were down 12% from the previous year. But the real test came in April when our main logistics partner, Transglobal Freight, suddenly went bankrupt. It was the kind of crisis that could have shut us down for weeks. Under the old system, Preston would have called emergency meetings, formed committees, and spent days discussing options while our shipments sat in limbo. Instead, I activated the backup network I'd been quietly building for years. Within 8 hours, every scheduled shipment was transferred to alternative carriers. Our customers barely noticed the transition. The board was impressed enough to give me a discretionary budget for operational resilience initiatives. Owen called me into his office that week. "Hunter, I want you to know that your promotion wasn't just about Preston's deficiencies. We've been watching your work for longer than you might think." "How so, sir?" "Remember that vendor audit you did in 2019? The one that identified the steel supplier markup? That didn't just save us money. It prevented a major financial hit when steel prices spiked during the trade disputes." The board specifically asked who had done that analysis. I'd never known they'd noticed. "And the COVID response protocol you developed? We shared that framework with 3 other companies in our industry group. They implemented similar systems and credited it with keeping their operations running. Your work didn't just help Pinnacle, it helped stabilize our entire sector. That put things in perspective. All those late nights, all those detailed reports that I thought nobody read. All those contingency plans I'd built just in case, they'd mattered more than I'd realized." Owen leaned back in his chair. "I served 20 years in the Navy before I got into business. You know what I learned? The real leaders aren't the ones giving speeches. They're the ones making sure the ship doesn't sink while everyone else is focused on the horizon." He was right about that. Military service teaches you that competence matters more than charisma. You can't charm your way out of a supply shortage or network your way through a logistics crisis. When things go wrong, you need someone who actually knows how to fix them. The news about Preston trickled in over the following months. He'd tried to start his own consulting firm, leveraging his extensive operations experience, but without my work to present as his own, his proposals fell flat. Clients asked for specific case studies and technical details he couldn't provide. Last I heard, he was working for a mid-sized company in Columbus, doing project coordination, a step down from his old role, but probably a better fit for his actual skill set. I didn't take any satisfaction in his struggles. The man had to make a living, and I hoped he'd learn something from the experience. Maybe he'd even become a decent manager someday, if he focused on supporting his team instead of taking credit for their work. What mattered more to me was how the department was evolving. I promoted 2 of the younger analysts who'd been overlooked under Preston's leadership. Lisa Chen had a knack for spotting patterns in vendor data that could predict supply issues months in advance. Mike Rodriguez understood international shipping regulations better than anyone I'd met. Under Preston, they'd been glorified data entry clerks. Under my leadership, they became strategic assets. I also instituted something I called Friday Fixes, informal sessions where anyone on the team could bring up problems or suggest improvements. No PowerPoint presentations, no formal proposals, just honest discussions about how to do things better. Some of the best operational improvements we implemented came out of those sessions. The warehouse supervisor, Tommy Williams, had been with the company for 15 years, but had never felt comfortable speaking up in meetings. During one Friday fix, he mentioned that our receiving dock layout was causing unnecessary delays. He'd been thinking about it for months but hadn't known how to bring it up to management. We spent 20 minutes sketching out a better configuration on a whiteboard. The changes cost us $3,000 in equipment moves, but saved 2 hours per day in processing time. That's $30,000 a year in labor costs, not counting the improved efficiency and reduced errors. These days, when new employees start in operations, I make sure they understand something right from the beginning. Your work matters. The details matter. And if you're good at what you do, don't let anyone make you feel invisible. I still have both bottles in my office, the cheap one and the expensive one. They sit next to each other on the shelf, a reminder of how quickly things can change when you decide to stand up for yourself. The $849 bottle taught me something valuable. It's not about the money you spend on someone, it's about the thought behind it. And sometimes when someone shows you exactly what they think of you, the best response is to show them exactly what you're capable of. But the expensive bottle represents something else entirely: recognition, respect, the acknowledgement that your contributions matter and that your expertise has value. The truth is, I didn't get that promotion because I complained or made a scene. I got it because when the time came, I had the receipts to back up my worth. And that's something every working man should remember. Keep track of what you do. Document your successes. Because when opportunity knocks, you better be ready to prove you deserve it. A year and a half later, Pinnacle Industries was recognized by Industry Week as one of the most efficiently run manufacturing companies in the Midwest. They specifically cited our supply chain resilience and vendor relationship management as key factors. I framed that article and hung it next to my Army discharge papers. Preston? Last I heard, he's doing business consulting for small companies. Good for him. Maybe he'll learn something about actually running a business instead of just managing people who know how to run them. Success has many fathers, but failure teaches the most valuable lessons. As for me, I'm exactly where I should be. Doing work that matters, getting paid what I'm worth, and making sure my daughter doesn't have to worry about tuition money. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well and proving that competence, patience, and quiet determination will eventually be recognized by those who matter most. Real authority doesn't come from the corner office or the fancy title. It comes from being the person others turn to when everything else falls apart, when the systems break down, and when someone needs to actually solve the problem instead of just talking about it. The most dangerous employee in any company isn't the one who complains loudly or causes drama. It's the quiet one who's been documenting everything, building relationships, and keeping detailed records of who really does what, because when they finally speak up, they have receipts that can't be argued with or explained away.